Come now, all you mangy dogs. Swab the decks and hoist the sails. The guns on board be needing some proper manning. Pieces of 8 and a fine wench on your arm. If your work be not too shoddy. Careful not to flounder too badly, though, or you may have to dance the hempen jig as we see you to Davy Jones. The Chaffee, my boy, on with the show.
Welcome everybody, friends, folks, foes, and fellow pirate mateys to our latest feature edition of Pirate Radio Podcast. It's episode number 336, our special annual New Year's Eve open house edition. I myself, of course, I'm your host, as always, the Robin Hood's Chief Communications Officer, Jackie Ryder. WPRPN.com, as a quick reminder as well, is the website we'll want you to drop by, check out, take a look at. Be sure to get back to us via our main email, pirate1radio@protonmail.com. That's pirate, numeral 1radio@protonmail.com. If you'd like to help us out via PayPal, as an example, or have show suggestions or guest ideas in mind that you'd like to bounce off of us and have us penciled in for the balance of the new year. And be sure as well, just generally, to check out all the URL web links in the show description end of things. If you have any questions, once again, do not hesitate getting back to us and letting us know what's on your mind. How can we be of service? Following this year's 10th annual Operation Secret Santa World Christmas Charity Outreach, Awareness, and Relief Extravaganza, hashtag OSS 2024, we bring you our special edition New Year's Eve open house with surprise guests, including possibly you. So be sure to bring all your best anecdotes, stories, memories, dreams, and predictions. Remember as well your local Boxing Day campaign charity drive, challenging all others. We're keeping ours running until the second week of January 2025. Wishing you all the best for the new year, health, happiness, and success. So, having said all that, it's great to see the turnout that we have here. Touching base, really connecting with people from all around the world. USA mostly, Canada as well, and I'm not sure if we see the UK, and this is a first for us, as memory serves, Costa Rica, although we did have a feature guest join us, courtesy of Brazil, just a little more, a couple months ago, basically. So that was David Ferdinand, as memory serves, and encourage everyone out there to check that and everything else that the free archives have to offer. Liking, commenting, sharing. We always forget to mention that, but yeah, that really does help to go a long way in basically getting the show's name out there, along with the wider WPRPN.com World Pirate Radio Podcast Network end of things. Does everyone here know what that stands for? We got about 6, 7, 8 people on 9. How many people? We got actually about 8. What's WPRPN? I'm not sure what we can offer you.
Army is a world pirate. World Pirate
Radio
Radio
Podcast
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 Network.
Network.
Ah,
Arr.
okay, that's why you're here. That's why you're here, and I guess most others are just out there listening. Um, Good stuff, though, folks. Yeah, the People's Pirate Network. And not only do we have our own merchandise available through Teespring, TeePublic, and beyond, but Sonia Galactic here has been working on a few items. She didn't get anything together, as far as I can tell, in support of the recent Christmas campaign, but you have put a number of other items, uh, out there
Your
for the public. You want to talk a little bit about that? And you have other people on board too, clients that are part of your store too.
yeah, you're mistaken about that. The coffee cups I made, the mugs or whatever you want to put in them, those are actually OSS
Oh, really?
sand.
I
Yeah,
never saw
uh,
any. I never
thank
saw you.
you.
So send the
The
pictures.
link. Yeah,
Uh-oh. Somebody's getting a call. Who is that?
yeah.
Oh,
I don't know.
now Telegram, Sonia. Yes, now Telegram. I know you were trying to help out there, but it's no big deal for a little bit late with Telegram. So, all right. Well,
No,
folks, it's the New Year's here. Let's do a little round table, just introductory kind of deal, round the horn. Starting, you're already there with us, Sonia, via
okay.
Phoenix,
Yeah,
Arizona.
well, yeah, in Phoenix, yeah. I make t-shirts, I tattoo, and apparently I'm able to help other people get their products out there as far as t-shirts or whatever they want to do, mugs, calendars, underwear, even socks, whatever. So apparently that's what I've been doing here. And that's galacticfire.com, TEC, not TIC.com. And other than that, I'm just kind of hanging out. It's been going pretty good here in AZ. I've had a little bit of weird experiences. I know I talked to you a little bit about this before, Jaffe, about the scam that happened to me. But actually today, earlier, it's so I know I super talked to you a weird. little bit I about this actually thought before, maybe Jaffe, like about the the solar scam flash that was happened to going me. on because But actually I, today, what earlier, happened was like super intense like electrical thing came over me while I was like laying in bed, awake again, and it just like it like froze me for like at least 2 seconds, and I was just like, oh my god, what's going on? What the fuck is this? It's like the solar flash, because it was like a wave of electricity went through me, and like I said, I couldn't even move. It was crazy, and then it happened again, like right after that. I thought, oh my God, I'm still alive. And, and then it happened again, but it was to a lesser degree. And I don't really know what that is, other than, maybe some technology somewhere or something like that. I really don't know, because I'm very familiar with like 5D and like higher consciousness states of mind and things like that. And this did not feel anything like that. Not at all, actually. It felt intrusive and things like that. But I guess that's kind of beside the whole point of our get together here. But in any case, other than that, Squeaky's doing well. He doesn't like fireworks, so I got him locked up in my room, which, I gave him food and water, and he's fine in there because he freaks out. We had to go look for him last New Year's Eve, because so many fireworks, it scares cats and animals and things like that. So to keep him, safe, to where we don't have to go look for him and hunt him down like hiding under a car or something.
Yeah, keep them
He's in the
inside.
room.
Yeah, we got our three
Yeah,
cats here with us in the studio. Pretty
yeah. He kind of
crashed
understood
out.
what was,
Cats like to sleep a lot, as you
rather
know.
than trying to get out of the room, because you know how cats are,
Right.
or he tries to get
Sure.
out sometimes, but
Okay.
he kind of like just looked like, okay, I'll stay in here, which was weird. It was a little bit weird, but we have an agreement apparently. So other than that, that's I guess I'll just pass it on to the next person there because I
Well,
don't have anything more exciting.
sure, sure. You brought actually somebody new to the show here on board this week via Costa Rica. Speaking
Yeah,
of
Isaac
merchandise,
from
and
Costa Rica with his vacuum, excellent musician. He's so multi-talented. It's just insane. I don't know why he's all being mysterious in the dark, but that's okay. Whatever he wants to do. But and
light it
he
up,
also has
man,
some
light it
t-shirts.
up. He's
Love to,
dwelling
love
right
to.
now within the vacuum, right? So that's where he is. He's in the void.
Hello.
Oh, there's
He's
some
coming
light.
in.
I see.
All right, Isaac. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You can
Awesome
see
guy.
me better.
Awesome guy. He has some really creative things going on with his t-shirts as well.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I see a lot of him around on mines, and a lot of people say many good
I was
things.
gonna
So
say, wow, that's cool that you know him also, because he's doing a project with me and a few other people that I know from mines with the whole Mint Me. I don't know if any of y'all know about Mint Me. It's a site where you can make your own coin and
uh-huh.
whatnot.
And who is it that we have
And
talking right now, just so for introductory sake?
so this is Do Better.
Right.
Do Better, of course. Sorry to
Hey, Do.
interrupt, but yeah.
Hey, do better.
Hey, what's going on?
Everything
Good to talk
good.
to you. Yeah,
Yeah,
of
really
course.
nice. Sure.
So you guys have known each other for a year or two, or how far is your
Yeah, a while, at least a
mm,
year.
yeah.
right?
Well, I've been working with the Imaginarium like 4 years now.
Oh, so
Yeah, I was gonna say
Satori
it's been
D.
a little while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, well,
Story
geez,
D.
Satori D was really
Mine's
kind of,
gaming. And stuff.
he was central, Daniel, to helping to get our project here off the ground, actually,
Mm.
and responsible for bringing both Bill and John Ottman on board as feature guests for our first show. If you can believe that, that was really quite something as far as the synchronicity is.
I found out some facts on that too, though. You broke Minds Gaming's cherry too, by the way.
His live streaming cherry.
Yeah, you were his first interview.
Yeah. Was that was the little catchphrase that we used, the tagline at the time, I guess. That's what we do for a few people. Yeah, we 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 get a kick out of breaking all kinds of people's live streaming cherries just to help get their feet kind of wet.
I heard you were called the White Rabbit at one point.
That's yeah, rumor has. So but then I guess the focus became more the likes of Minds Gaming, and I'm not sure who else. Fretz Capo is someone who via Minds has I haven't seen too much of him as of late, but he was really quite active for a while there, really making a big splash. So uh and then there's a whole number of really big channels that are putting out a lot of great quality content and bringing the whole platform to life in a great way. So good to see. Speaking of which, you've got a show now. I'm not sure we will be live streaming, I guess, this coming, is it Friday night, you back in the States? It'll be Saturday 8 a.m. here via Seoul. Is that right?
I believe so.
Roger Henson, or is he wandered off into his own little vacuum? So yeah, does anyone else know about that? We lost.
Yeah, there's meant to be another show now actually, but it with Nioki, but it looks like he's disconnected.
Naroki.
All right.
Yeah.
Naroki, bloody Naroki, is he calling people up now on Skype?
Yeah.
Oh,
We
geez,
had
that
a show
this is
scheduled
an issue,
actually.
man. Like I really wish, like, because I think we sort of, this has been our time for ages, our time slot, and he I don't know. It's like I think we've talked to him, try to be really polite and diplomatic, saying, "Dude, it's like
Issue was we had a show yesterday and it went on for quite a few hours.
he doesn't live stream either. He's just recording his show. It's just a podcast. There's no live streaming involved to what he does at all. Anyways, So just if people are free to go where they like, obviously. And that's one thing we didn't emphasize enough during the campaign. Operation Secret Santa was, and just the way that we are structured as a network, our philosophy, something that the Infinite Imaginarium might, I think, resonates with Satori D and others. The voluntary nature of just what guiding philosophy, just cooperative, you know, uh, collective cooperatism in some ways. What is it? Anarcho libertarianism. I think that would be fair enough if you want to give things
Openish
labels.
source.
Open
Don't get me
source,
started
very,
on.
very open source. If you have any ideas, folks, if anything you'd like to contribute in any way, and you're passionate about what you'd like to see integrated or implemented, let us know. We're serious about that. That includes anyone that we have on board here via the round table, the panel, or just out there listening, across the wider world. By the way, I'm just going to remind people, because there are so many folks that we have with us here as part of tonight's panel at present. If you have something really urgent you'd like to get out there, just raise your hand using the little the icon or feature rather that Skype has here, and then we can see that people's hands are being raised, and we'll hand the mic to you. So who's next? Who do we? Mark, you didn't really properly introduce yourself? So Medworthy via Minds.
Medworthy.
Yeah.
Let's hear it, man.
Um,
That's all we got.
yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Come on, you can do better than that.
Yeah. With our minds.
Well, I'm not
Um,
impressed.
Yeah,
It's
that
like,
just sucks, dude.
yeah, come on.
okay.
A little more
Where
polish.
do I start? Um,
Oh, by the way,
yeah.
hey, let's give you a moment to just breathe and collect your thoughts. We know, yeah, just step back and reflect on what is it you like to get out there. In the meantime, Joshua Allen Huckle is, one of the first people that we see here via the digital chat peanut gallery and of things. So thanks, Joshua. Hopefully, you can get our content out via X. This is one of the priorities that we have right now, along with finishing up with our archiving of the shows that we did throughout the course of the campaign. We've got number 8 ready to go right now. We've done post production and all the rendering and compression, and things are set up. So it's mostly just fiddling around with cleaning up the intro and outro so it looks a little more polished and professional. But yeah, there we go. Joshua Allen Huckle. Let X hear about what we're doing here tonight, and also just any thoughts that are on your mind presently as far as what the new year has to offer. Mr. Anderson was quite ill. He joined us here for just a moment or two. He did not sound well at all. I would have been happy to have heard a little bit more as to what was on his mind, but yeah, he connected via Utah, USA, and the flu. It's knock wood. I've been doing really well. I've had a little touch of bronchitis, as I do almost every year. People that have listened to the content that we've been uh, you know, putting together over the past number of years will know that
Like
Jaffe's
ginger.
sick around this time of year. I attribute it to the years of smoking that I gave up finally back around 2012. Go ahead, Miss Galactic, and then back to Madworthy and so on and so forth.
I just wanted to remind everyone that labels injure. Labels are one of the main things that they use in order to make your mind injure your body, kind of thing. It's
What kind of labels are you referring to exactly?
Bronchitis.
Okay,
Encephalitis.
geez, what would you call it? I mean, hacking up phlegm.
Well,
Lungs are on fire.
but the deeper they get deeper with it with the labels and things like
Well,
language is used.
right.
Well,
So
you got to
that's
start
what it is.
somewhere.
Bastardized language. It's
You got to put it
bastardized language covering up for
some category.
pharmakia.
You're sick. You're sick.
Yeah.
Somebody's sick.
Pharmakia,
They're not
yeah.
doing well.
Yeah,
You know,
well,
they're
maybe
under the weather.
so, but they take and they make it even worse with the labels, because once you have a label that you claim for yourself, that pretty much signs the contract of you know, like getting or having or experiencing whatever it is you're trying or they're trying to throw at you. This is how I see
What
it.
are you talking?
And I realize that's
yeah.
not how
I
it,
just
but this is how I see it.
I kind of see.
Yeah,
I kind of see a little. I kind of buy into a little bit if I'm hearing what you're trying to convey. Yes. I get. You know, partially. I'm able to fathom, but look, the people we have health issues. Okay, from A to Z, whatever they are, top to bottom, A to Z, you name it. Anything that people are afflicted with, and okay, labels aside, but I mean, you can agree that sometimes people are sick. They feel like crap, right? And they need
absolutely.
to. Here's the thing. I think here's what you're driving at that you're not really making clear is that it's a question of how do you solve the problem? What is the best solution or way of approaching the situation? You know, what you've got on your hands, what you're facing, right? With your
Right.
illness,
Well,
whoever you are.
in uh, from what I can see, is that we're not trained or alerted to or educated on being aware of our biofield and
Right.
what that all entails and things like
Of
that, and how we
course.
can strengthen that through our
Yes.
minds,
Right.
thought,
Absolutely.
and that being absent
hmm
makes us more vulnerable
Susceptible.
to even susceptible even to just thoughts that come in from
Well,
outer area, black magician,
meditation,
or whatever you
right?
want to call it, you know, to where
Meditation.
we and so if our mind thinks, oh well, I have this illness, then we essentially like sign some sort of etheric contract or something to make ourselves, then so we become weaker and things like that, and it's like a little by little kind of thing that happens, at least in my
Incremental.
experience. That's what I've learned.
Mhm. Shout out here
Right.
to Katie Sayman, someone who we actually, her and her sister, her sister Stephanie, who we had called up. They might drop in. We reached out to them here via Skype. They're in the room, you know. So we are, we are doing all we can to extend a welcome, and they have talked about joining us. So they were both. I didn't know they were sisters actually, but as luck, fate, fortune would have it, the two of them and their families recipients of uh, campaign support just this past Christmas. So in conjunction with the Operation Secret Santa outreach, relief, and consciousness raising 10-day endeavor. So yeah, who knows? We might hear from them more than just via text before the end of tonight's show. So who have we yet to hear from here now? So
Hey, forget about
Yvonne,
it. Yvonne.
rock scissors paper. Vinny, let's go to you and then to Yvonne.
Sure. Hey, forget about it, everybody. How you doing? It's almost 2025 here in Brooklyn, New York. Just another 14 minutes now. So I hope everyone is ready for everyone's ready for a big ride, okay? Because we got a big ride coming up. I can tell you that much. So Jeffy, you gave me a good segue because you were just talking about illness, and there's this weird phenomenon that's happened purportedly over 27 states and Britain and some other parts of the world.
Talking drones or bird flu?
Well, no, it's this weird chemical fog. It's it's not water. It's a chemical fog, and some people have found it in their pools, and they've reported it's toxic chemical.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking really that there's this whole campaign to really just dull people,
Sure.
make people just forget what the heck is going on.
Yeah.
Right?
Is this in conjunction with? Is there any pattern to where we're seeing drone activity, or maybe the chemtrail, payloads being dumped and delivered? Which it's interesting. Is this like the next issue that's going to get us shut down via boob tube? Speaking of which, I don't even know if we've said anything to this point. Like I swear to God, like you could recite the alphabet, and that would be enough for them to come up with some ridiculous accusation that they would never answer to or give you any explanation of. So we are live streaming via BoobTube, and because because of that, I'm gonna end things right there, and just encourage people to drop by, check us out, follow the links, either my personal fake book profile, D Live, Telegram, and we have a or HomeNetwork.tv, where Alan and I think Robert Morningstar is someone who has been helping him out with that project, are working on really doing a lot of great work as far as promoting free speech and expression on all sorts of levels. What are we hearing there? Was that Mark?
Yeah, it's just connected to WPR to Home TV Network, and automatically came on that.
Okay, all right.
Troublemakers. That's what it is. It's some Canadians and them British people.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. Okay. So and Vinny out of Brooklyn. Just want briefly, Vinny, before we transition over to Yvonne. I hope your mom I hope she's still in stable condition.
She's home. She's safe, and she says hi.
Oh wow. Oh man. So how serious of an issue was that? It was a bit of a scare for your family, obviously, and loved ones.
Yeah. Well, I think there are a lot of families that are scared. Hey, let me say this before I forget, because this has been bugging me all day. I would like to. I mean, now I know the Amish probably don't use social media for the most part, right? But I'm hoping someone knows someone Amish, and they can talk these guys into building some shelters for these people in North Carolina, because supposedly there's this wicked cold front that's coming in, and I don't think that they'll survive it. Much like the 30,000 cows back in 2021. I don't know if anyone remembers that. Remember how Texas froze for a week?
Yeah.
And there were 30,000 cows out in a pasture, and PETA didn't write a single piece about, hey, what we're going to do about these 30,000 cows that are going to freeze to death. And they just did.
Yeah.
And I imagine the same things can happen in North Carolina if these shelters aren't built for these people. I think it's ridiculous.
Peter didn't do dick.
Huh? Right? Not a word. Imagine I eat meat every day.
Reminiscent of Eisenhower's death camps. Just it left out, it exposed to the elements.
That's how they killed them. Right? Yeah. Think about that, guys. That's how easy it was to kill them. So why would they have to come up with these fancy methods like these electric rooms and the masturbation machines and all the other stupid stuff they've come up with for this hoax, the greatest hoax of the 20th century? All right.
I can actually say something about that cattle incident though, because like my dad was a dairyman. I learned how to milk cows at the age of 11, and if you want to go there, you can bring up the fact that how horrible we treat cattle in this world. The treatment that just the average cow goes through in his lifetime, only to be slaughtered for food, is just horrible. So I eat meat, don't get me wrong, but let's be honest about it. These animals have been treated bad.
I was just going to say the U.S. food and
Well, let me ask you something before you
But
go.
hang on, before we get too much
standards
far
are
into this,
pretty poor compared to Europe.
Do you guys use electric rods to poke your cattle so that you can get them to move over in England?
I think there are actually laws. I'll have to check this out, but I remember reading some time ago about certain standards and legal standards.
talking police tasers or what exactly? So
It's a rod. It's
yeah,
a rod with
yeah,
and you just poke them inside, and then they have electric fences that when they're in the pit, they force them to move forward so that they can go into the milking pits and be milked.
Yeah. Well, and you know, we're
another point you've got to think about is that, especially in the UK, over where we are very sort of animals. We are sort of real animal lovers in this country. If as an example, the sort of caged chicken sort of situation, they farm the
look at your royal family.
What's the word I'm looking for? Sorry.
Look at the royal, animal lovers. This, look no further than the royal family.
We like to think of ourselves as more humane.
But look, we got to move on to Yvonne. Like,
you said chicken lover, though, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. There is another word.
But
it's called
I want to come back to this because there's an ET tie-in as far as cattle mutilations and so forth, and it's a little. It's a little more. It's kind of a curveball as well as far as the take, the interpretation, and what have you. But listen, let's get to Yvonne before we lose him here.
Well, don't talk while interrupting, eh?
Don't talk. Yeah. Harpo.ca. Welcome back, Yvonne. Thanks for voting with your computer mouse.
Cheers. Yeah, I'm not working out tonight. I'm at home. I want to thank everyone thank the Secret Santa. Operation Secret Santa.
OSS.
The operation was a success.
Always.
Anyways, and I'm recovering. The news is good. We got a new home here.
Oh, good.
In northern Coquitlam, Burke Mountain.
Good stuff.
Double the rent, 2/3 the size.
You're kidding. How did you swing that? Double the rent, 2/3 the size? Are you kidding?
Yeah. I'm not kidding. No, more than double. Yeah.
Well,
plus the utilities.
How can you afford that?
Well, we manage. It's not easy. Yeah. And anyways, it's a nice place. We're in the basement of a nice house in the back. And we moved on Saturday. Sunday was very arduous.
Sure.
And had a Korean Gosok movers help us. 3 very strong men.
Oh.
And my wife and me. It was very hard.
Is your landlord Korean?
They're Chinese, actually, from Beijing. Family.
Oh, actually,
they're nice.
They're actually living.
Very nice people.
They're living there.
No, they live here.
Yeah,
they live here.
So the real issue with the absentee landlords, unfortunately, is really.
No, it's not an issue with us. No, the landlord. She lives somewhere else. Her parents live upstairs.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So
there you go.
Yeah.
So,
and I want to thank Jaffe and all of you for your support and giving money to help Michelle and me with our new home, because we had to pay for movers, damage deposit, first month's rent, and then food. And,
did you have anybody else appear from step up basically in an anonymous way?
Well, my stepfather helped us out quite a bit, which was good. And in addition, Tri-Cities, there's this ministry, they helped out some.
Mm-hmm.
It's this kind of like a Christian mission, helping people.
Okay.
And they're really awesome.
Well, and your job starts this month?
Probably February. It's delayed.
And the job description reads as what exactly? Just to refresh.
Working as a multi-faith chaplain, Canada Border Services Agency at BC Immigration Center in Newton, Surrey.
5 million. Didn't you mention that apparently there's
5.1 million? Don't forget the 0.1.
Oh, 5.1 million illegal
before
occupiers
this time next year
that are required, that are expected and required.
Well, their visas are not being renewed.
Yeah, do you know how many stay illegally regardless?
I know, but
a lot.
Yeah,
and that includes Koreans too. Obviously.
A lot of them will be rounded up and brought into where I'll be working.
Detainment center, is that right?
Yeah, basically.
Transitional, geez.
So I'll be there, kind of like in a sense of presence, counseling, and just journeying with them through their time of transitioning out of the country. It's a very, very, I can imagine, be a very stressful time for them.
What if they're atheists? How do you deal with the atheists or people?
Well, I just bring my friend Paul in. He's a charismatic atheist. Get him to deal with him.
Oh,
no,
Paul, you
work?
Joking. Well.
No, I'm joking. No, my friend Paul, he's a charismatic atheist. Anyways,
I think that's an insider, like an insider joke. If you've studied the Bible, or are you referring to the?
No, it's just an old Kinky Friedman joke.
Oh,
sorry.
I don't think.
But I mean, basically, pastoral counseling, is about looking at the power of the story, looking at the stories in the past that we resonate with. It could be from the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, Quran, or any book,
right.
And Buddhist literature. So, in a sense of finding your story being told and to resonate with that character, what they've gone through, their suffering, whether it be Job or Joseph or whoever, and to in that way, the client says, "Hey, I'm not the only one that's been through this. There are other people that have been deported, have been arrested, put in prison,
right."
So and so they begin to see that they're not the only one, and they see maybe the hand of God or working through the problem, helping to solve it.
Sure.
So it's just a matter of having hope. And of course, for me, I'm from a Lutheran tradition, so mystery and grace are important. And so thank you for all your help. And of course, with Operation Secret Santa, it's still offering 1 hour free counseling. First hour is free.
Right.
And if you want to continue, you can pay. We have a sliding scale. Everything's confidential. After January 4th, it'll go down to half an hour again, a free half hour. So if you want to get a hold of me, harpo.ca. I'd love to hear from you. And there's hope. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me as well. And like Jaffe says, you don't have to be a Christian. I don't bring God into the room. If you bring God into the room, okay, that's fine, but I'm certainly not going to do that.
How about the Buddhist angle?
Sorry,
that's more agnosticism. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, how do you approach this? Because multi-faith, and do you approach your job on a theologic principle, or do you approach it more of as a psychologist?
Or both?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a psychologist. A psychologist has a certain training and a certain stamp, which I don't have. I'm an interfaith pastoral counselor, and interfaith can be interreligion, interdenomination, whatever. As a multi-faith chaplain, that can be a challenge. I need to talk to my boss. Ideally, what I'd like to be able to do is, if there's someone who's from a Sikh tradition, for me to be able to contact the Sikh temple, say, hey, can I get someone to come in and talk to this person.
Right.
You know,
Coordinate
or
something.
yeah, if I can, but I have to talk to my boss. He might just say, "No, that's your job. You do it. You take care of it." But, or if somebody wants an imam or a rabbi, you know, can I go and bring someone in? Is that possible? Or even have a team of volunteers to help out.
Well,
I mean, that's what I did when I visited prisons in New Brunswick. I was part of Christian Council for Reconciliation, and we were on the forefront of, I forgot, restorative view of prisons. And so we would go into a chapel, play some music, then after have coffee, sit down with people and talk with them, and then send, share letters and that. And then people getting out of jail, helping them out as well. So,
sure.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to, with playing music, I think most can agree, very therapeutic.
My friend Gordon and I would bring our guitars in, and
that's right.
Gene McClellan.
Lightfoot he was still alive back then. You're right.
Gene McClellan even came in Dorchester Penitentiary. You can find him on YouTube playing Dorchester Pen. And I met him there and in Moncton. Wonderful person.
Right.
And his daughter, Kathleen McClellan.
Well, they're well-known East Coast musicians, aren't they?
They are, and they're famous.
Sure.
Well, McClellan, he wrote Snowbird, Put Your Hand in the Hand.
And the big Anne Murray hit?
Anne Murray hits, yeah.
Really?
An Ocean, yeah.
Well, bloody Elvis sang that song, too, I think.
That's right, Elvis. Elvis is everywhere.
I'll have a blue Christmas without you. I was working on that just the other day. It's great. It's a beautiful song, very soulful, and 3 chords.
Yeah.
4 chords.
Yeah, I played it in church this past year.
Blue Christmas.
Oh no, I meant Put Your Hand in the Hand.
Oh, great song. Yeah. Listen, Yvonne, we're going to move on to these other folks.
Anyways, thank you very much for all your support.
We'll come back to you.
And if you need counseling, it's all confidential.
Let your friends know too, people. Like, get the word out that this is the gift horse.
Skype video.
Right there, sitting right there. We got a lot on the auction block that people are. If you cannot afford anything, and these items and services, whether music lessons, English, Korean lessons, Korean cooking lessons, art lessons, you name it, they're offered at about half the normal market retail price. If people cannot, and we did manage to, people did reach out, and we made, as far as like digital sales of the digital uploads, and a few of the things like English, Korean lessons, cooking, and so forth. There was some success on that front, but sliding scale, if even the half price discount as far as a starting bid is too much, then let us know, and maybe work something out, all for a good cause, of course. And really, the receipts are quite helpful too. Let's not forget, because that's the best way of providing proof that you've donated to a worthy cause.
Just want to let y'all know Happy New Year, because it's just hit
hey, all right,
after midnight.
Hey,
Happy New Year, everybody.
2025. Look at all those 5s, huh? Isn't that something?
Happy New Year.
Funny enough, it's 5.
Say hey, Pokemon Paduseo.
It's 5 minutes past 5 out here in Malton, all the 5s.
Few minutes past.
Yeah, like there's some funky numbers this year, and it's not the year of the dragon. What's that, Yvonne?
Gongji Fakai.
Is that Chinese?
I think it's Mandarin or Cantonese.
Gongji Fakai.
Gongji Fakai. And Sehe Bok Mani Patuseo.
Sehe Bok Mani Patuseo. That's right. Yes, yeah. So, Happy New Year. That's right. En français, not bon fête.
Bonne année.
Bonne année. Yeah, that's right. Good year. That's right. So, well, Jimmy Carter was one of the things I was interested in talking about. The cattle mutilations, another, because that came up earlier. And, this business of even like families transitioning from out of the country, whether Canada or elsewhere, as a family. But we'll come back to that a little later. So maybe Yvonne can reflect on that for a few moments. But look, Karma Love is there. Oh, we've got Robert Morningstar who's just dropped in as well via the East Coast of the Americas. We've pretty much heard from everybody except for Karma Love. Why so quiet all the time, Karma? Come on, now's your chance.
I was streaming. No, I'm here. I was playing video games and watching the fireworks. So the background.
So video games are more important than directly engaging.
At least I'm a tenant. You called my name and here I came. I mean, I can
fully, completely.
Happy New Year!
Undivided attention. Woo, 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 woo. Hey, Karma, do you watch that reality TV show 90 Day Fiance?
I've heard of it, but I probably watched one or two episodes. Why are you getting? Oh, you're already married. I was like, why? Who's getting married?
I thought maybe we could.
You should let me plan your wedding. If someone's gonna get married, you should. I've been gathering my wedding ideas for the day that I get married. So if anyone wants to get married, I can help. With like some ideas. I have really, really good visions for this.
Oh, I see. Okay, so like a wedding planner.
Yeah, more like that than like something like the wedding like person.
Okay. All right, and just briefly, so you're out of Florida. Let's hear a little bit about your bio. Have you been doing any shows as of late with your live streaming?
Yeah. I've been, but I'm not gonna do live as much anymore as I'm gonna do pre-recorded and post. I was going live, and I was gonna actually go live like tonight, but I just already pre-recorded and I post, and I'm just gonna go because like my content keeps getting like mimicked, and I don't like being screen recorded, and then people are just like using my stuff and like paying other people to distribute it. So kind of catch me if you can, and at least you'll get my views up on YouTube if you get the, you know what I mean? You catch my drift, like you'll watch the pre-recorded, and that'll at least get my views up, and then I can hopefully someday get monetized, that type of thing.
You could have simulcast what we're doing here tonight, just as the way that Roger's doing it.
I don't know what that means.
Well, you launch your live stream and pick up our feed and share it with your audience. He can talk to you about it later. Don't worry about it. So can we?
There's so many fireworks. It's so pretty.
Let's hear.
Fireworks everywhere.
Let's hear a little bit more fireworks there via Florida, USA.
Can you hear them popping?
Yeah, good stuff. Let her rip.
They're everywhere. I love fireworks. I didn't even have to leave my balcony.
So let's hope this year is auspicious. The year of the dragon, very, it was filled with a lot of, some pretty dramatic events throughout the course of it all, obviously. And I'm presumably not something that was seized upon by the deep state or the illumined occultists maneuvering behind the scenes, pulling strings and so forth, engineering, staging events, the crises that they can then step forward and offer to solve, work about, bringing the remedy to. So, but and someone who can maybe speak more to that is Robert Morningstar out of Manhattan, USA, there with perhaps his friend in the wings, Janan, as well, potentially. Welcome, Robert. How have things been unfolding via New York City this fair evening? Well, maybe Robert's wandered off. maybe he's been entranced by the fireworks as well, or just simply unable to find his mute button. That's often something people do. struggle with. So, does anyone have anything to say? You know, Jimmy Carter is one of the big things. Oh, I know what I'd like to bring up. I guess the plane crash in Korea as well too, devastating, and something which has really kind of put a damper, as you can imagine, on the mood of the nation. And I've been really deep in reflection as best I can manage, mourning the loss, but also, I guess, celebrating the lives that were lived, and hoping that the people they transition to, they call it Skyland, Haner Nara, the happy hunting ground, as the natives refer to it, in the West and beyond. But these cows, the livestock, the deal basically, and I just heard this on an old Art Bell show the other night, when they're being found in the condition that they are, what is being shown, I guess, this is according to Major, who was this? Ed Dames, I think was his name. And he was someone who actually Robert Morningstar may know rather well. I'm willing to at least hazard a guess.
Yeah.
Remote viewing.
Ed Dames is a very highly accomplished remote viewer.
Right.
He was part of the U.S. Army what do you call it? Somebody Stargazer team, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the original 4 or 5 top remote viewers. He's also still active. He gives he has a series in how to learn how to do remote viewing.
Yeah. Welcome, Robert. Do you know what Major Dames actually said about these cattle mutilations? What the aliens are trying to communicate to humanity? It kind of
I haven't heard that.
Well,
I have heard. What did he say?
It dovetails with what Roger was conveying earlier. Just they're trying to tell us that essentially this is the way you treat these animals. They drain them entirely of their blood and mutilate them in a pretty horrific way. A lot of times, obviously, with genital mutilation and so forth. But unlike the Hindus who worship cows for whatever reason, there must be something to it. But the ET aliens that are doing this, really, it's so. Dames was arguing is that, and based on his remote viewing of the matter, they are trying to say that you treat these animals in such a brutal fashion. This is what you do to them, because as you can imagine, the farmers they stumble upon their livestock and they're generally quite shocked, like, oh, this is horrific, this is terrible, this is just incredible, but not stopping to consider that they're going to end up being slaughtered before too long anyways, in a pretty
I have a different theory
way.
I don't think they're sending any messages. They're just taking resources.
Yeah.
I believe when you consider what they take from the animal, there are a couple of scientific ideas that I have. They take human beings, they take women, they abduct them, they rape them, they implant them, and then they come back and retrieve the fetus when it's about 2 to 3 months old. So they have to bring that fetus to parturition, to birth. And I think that they do it by implanting it in some of those uteri that they take from the cows. Okay, artificial wombs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what they do. They put the specimen, probably an alien-human hybrid specimen that they extract after having implanted it, and then they take it and transplant it into a cow uterus. And then the other thing, taking the tongue, an eye, and the ear. I think they are trying to understand human senses, because they don't have senses like we do. They don't see like we do. They have very, very little holes for ears, so they're telepathic, so they don't really need to hear like we hear. And I think they're curious about the five senses. And by taking these organs, they can create facsimiles or simulacra of human senses so that they can understand it.
That's
The
amazing.
aliens-
Yeah, that's a great theory. It's really
Yep.
plausible.
Well, it's more than theory. I have some confirmation of that when you read the Dulce papers. Branton wrote a lot about them. Thomas Castello revealed it.
Right.
Some photographs were taken of the lab, a really disgusting place, with vats, hundreds, if not thousands, of vats gestating these hybrids.
Photographs.
Yeah, I've seen photographs of them, yes.
Well, and my question I've got for you, and I'm sure some of our listeners do as well, how many people do they actually, do you believe, abduct from around the world on an annual basis, and how many of those people are never seen again?
Well, the number used to be about 50,000 a year. The government, when they signed the treaty, agreed with them to let them take 50,000 people a year with humane considerations. They wouldn't be tortured. They wouldn't be held for longer than 2 days, and they would be put back. And that they would give a list of all the abductees that they'd taken so that the FBI could distinguish them from real missing persons or murder victims or kidnapped people. You know, the humans are doing it, the aliens are doing it. So they thought that by keeping this record, they could keep tabs on it. But then they found out that the aliens were not keeping the treaty. They were taking far more people and not reporting.
This is in accordance with the 1945 Treaty of Grenada?
1954. Grenada.
Grenada. Grenada.
It's like Grenada without the N.
Right. And that was done during the Eisenhower administration. He signed on to that, did he not?
Yeah, he did.
He was not.
Sorry, one point on this. I'm looking through. It looks like it's documented by the European Food Safety Authorities. I've not found anything in relation to the US reviews.
What are you referring to?
I'm looking at a document called "The Practice of Mutilation in Beef Cattle," exercise of the EFSA, the European Food Safety Authority Network on Animal Welfare, which was released in November.
So this is cattle. We're talking cattle mutilations, right? Mostly cows. Sometimes I think I've heard reports of like buffalo. Got moose. Who knows about moose or what have you? Robert, can you maybe expand or elaborate?
In Canada, elk and moose,
caribou,
deer are very common. Famous story, 1974, a hunter in Colorado was taken. He was actually hunting, and he saw a deer, and they were frozen. They weren't moving. So he picked up his rifle and he fired. And he said that when he fired, he could see the bullet traveling in slow motion toward the deer, but then it hit something and fell to the ground. And he walked over to see what was going on, and he realized that he was standing nearby a translucent cube, and that turned out to be the craft. And an alien came out and talked to him. I think the alien gave him a pill of some sort. But then he was suddenly transported inside the craft, and he said it was mind-boggling because outside the craft, the cube looked like it was about 8 feet by 8 feet by 8 feet cube.
Mm-hmm.
But when it was inside, it was like a gigantic volume. And inside, behind him, they sat him down. They did some medical tests on him, and they rejected him because he had some problem with his seminal vesicles. He didn't ejaculate sperm the way normal humans. So they put him back. But there were 3 other hunters I think 2 of them in the same region of Colorado and 1 in Canada near Vancouver. They were taken, and they didn't come back. And the interesting thing is all of them were of Germanic descent. They were Canadians and Americans, but they were of Germanic family origins.
That's really quite something. So I guess we'd have to.
But forget the cattle; they take the humans.
Yeah, this
The
is an issue. This is a real major issue. I
famous
don't.
case in Brazil. A man, a mutilated man, his genitals had been removed, his anus had been cored out. He had holes in his thighs and in his upper arm and in the middle of his back and in the middle of his stomach. And I studied it for years, and all of a sudden I realized that all the holes were in places where the thickest, strongest arteries and veins come closest to the surface of the human body. So the hole in the thigh was the femoral artery. The hole in the upper arm was the brachial artery. The hole in the lower back was the vena cava, and the one in the torso was at the aorta. And this is how they are able to just siphon all the blood out of a body as quickly as possible. So
there's hundreds of reports, if not thousands, along similar.
There's a famous case. If you go to ufobc.ca, it's one of the best archives of UFOs, and a lot of it, most of it, deals with Canadian UFOs. There is an article called "The Abduction of a Yukon Hunter." His name was Kevin, and he was abducted. He was riding a motorcycle through the Yukon, and he saw a flash of light, and then he saw these strange blue aliens standing on the other side of the road, and he stopped to look at them, and all of a sudden his mind was blank. And then when he woke up, he was back where he had seen the aliens, but his motorcycle was in a different place, positioned in a different direction, and the key was still in it. And he was groggy and mind-boggled, fatigued. He got on a motorcycle, made it home, and it took him days and days to recover. And I realized from his symptoms, extreme fatigue, foggy brain, couple of other symptoms that I'll tell you in a minute, I realized, oh, he's suffering blood deprivation. You know, I mean, low blood, they steal your blood. You know what happens? When you give blood, they tell you, you know, don't do strenuous exercises for a couple of days, drink a lot of fluids. It takes time for it to replace your blood. So when aliens do this, they leave the person in a mind-boggled state. Sense of time dilation, missing time. Bruises. You know, when people resist, they beat the shit out of you.
What about producing clones? Like replica or duplicates? Is that possible?
Yes. Well, now the cloning technique. I wouldn't say has been perfected, but it is in practice. You know, the Raelians. You know the Raelian group of Jewish Messianic Jews who believe that Rael is the Messiah, and that cloning is the way to reincarnation and eternal life. They believe in that, but I don't think they're cloning human beings. Just the government actually learned the technique, and I've heard that the government is cloning super soldiers. And chimera, right? Chimeric creatures like Dogman.
Well, that's why I'm not sure. I might have mentioned this too at some point in the past, but UFO hunters with Bill Burns, he alleges they were shut down, even though they had great ratings, they had great advertising support. Everything was just not a problem on that front, but they stumbled upon these secret documents alluding to covert cloning programs that have been in place for a while with the hybrid production of human crossbreeds with animals, and God only knows what.
Right.
So
yeah. Some of the things are really, really disturbing. I just downloaded a page. Somebody got hands on MK Ultra files, hundreds, through Freedom of Information. I haven't had a chance to go through them, but I'm very interested in seeing what's new. The MK Ultra program has morphed. They say they ended it in 1974, but it just changed. It's a chameleon. It keeps changing its name.
That's right.
It's a chameleon.
It's like Operation Mockingbird. So, and many others, of course. Joshua Allen Huckle talking about referencing, asking whether or not Preston Dennett could make it on the show at some point. That would be quite something, and then maybe have Robert join us at that time. I think you do know Preston. I'm not sure if you're on.
We know of each other. I haven't interviewed him, but we definitely we know of each other's work for years. We published many of his articles early on in UFO Digest. That was a very important era. We were one of the websites that took it really seriously, and we got the best writers. I became friends with Brad Steiger. I recruited Brad Steiger.
Right. Yeah.
I recruited Bruce Maccabee contributed.
Yeah.
Stanton Friedman.
Mm-hmm.
I just reached out to them and told them that we're serious about those, and they were very gracious enough.
Mm-hmm. Two of those three gentlemen are at least two have now passed away. Brad, Stanton,
all three.
Bruce Maccabee, Mr. Maccabee. I see.
Stan Friedman. Yeah. They were giants. They were really.
Okay.
Even Gordon Novell wrote an article for us.
Astronaut? Was he? He was an astronaut.
No. He was. What was Gordon Novell? He was pretty big. He was a genius. He was an Oswald double. He was he felt that the government was setting him up as to be the fall guy. If it didn't fall on Oswald, he thought that they were setting him up. So he split. But he was working with Jacques Sarfati on reverse engineering the alien reproduction vehicle. Smart guy. But he was also big in the oil industry, and he wrote an article about the Blue Water Horizon and the ecological disaster that it caused, and how they were actually going to try to seal it using certain technologies, like underwater missiles, underwater spears shot into the opening where the oil was spilling out. And he claimed that that's what saved it, but it didn't save it. These super hurricanes that are coming out of the Gulf, it's because the bottom of the Gulf is covered with a black pitch-like substance that's a combination of mega millions of gallons of oil mixed with a toxin called Corexit. You know that oil floats, right? So their solution was, the oil is floating, everybody can see it. We have this stuff called Corexit that's just going to grab it and sink it to the bottom. That's what they did. And that's why the Gulf of Mexico is heating up so much more than before, because it's like a black substance that's absorbing more heat than it would naturally absorb if the bottom were just sandy and reflective, as tropical waters should be. Long story, but and that also is connected with.
I agree that correct is it's a neurotoxin. It's a slow neurotoxin.
Yes,
it really shouldn't be in the water.
Is that
Yeah.
is that synonymous with black goo, or is that something entirely different?
No, it's different. It's different than black goo. The black goo is a conscious substance. It's a conscious oil that was concentrated in 2 islands south of the Falklands. The real reason for the Falklands War was not just to take the Falkland Islands, it's because the Falkland Islands are the closest to the Thule Islands, the North and South Thule. And apparently a race of blue extraterrestrials had been guarding that place to keep this stuff contained, the black goo as it came to be called. And apparently the black goo was a doomsday weapon that another group of extraterrestrials left on planet Earth as a contingency plan. If they didn't succeed in taking the planet, they were going to release this black goo. So it was being contained down there, and the British found out about it. The Argentinians had been okay with it and were letting the aliens do their maintenance, but the British went down there and they took over, and they actually have released the black goo.
Can I
They took
actually
it
get
back
some feedback from you, Robert?
We got to get back to
Yes.
Alan's got to come into the conversation here too.
Oh yeah,
He's
okay.
joined us.
I'll be back
Yeah.
later.
Blue
Back
aliens, though.
Thanks,
Blue aliens. That's
Yes.
that's what I wanted to talk to you about.
Speak up, Roger.
Okay.
It was the blue aliens is what I wanted to
Robert.
talk to you
An
about.
avatar. But we got to hear from Alan too. He's the last to the mic here. Just to allow him to introduce himself.
Actually, I'm the last to the mic. I never got to talk.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, do you want to do that now and then over to Alan, and then
No,
it's a
go
free
ahead.
for all,
I
pretty
mean,
much.
go ahead,
until we
man.
wrap up. So, well, Alan, I guess Roger's.
Happy New Year. So it's been a new year for you for about 16 hours already.
Living in the future.
Yeah, yep, living in the future. So, hope you all have a great new year and all those sort of things. And yeah, well, what about this alien invasion type thing, eh? There's drones in the sky, or there's orbs, or there is. What the hell is this stuff?
Robert thinks it's a mix. It's both, actually. But do you want him to elaborate on that or address the question?
Definitely. You'll want to hear Robert. Yeah.
Hi. Happy New Year to everyone, folks. Very interesting. We had a great year so far.
You're not on camera either, Robert. You're violating one of your primary rules.
Oh, yeah, the prime directive.
That's right. How dare you?
I was acting like an old man. I have a saying, the old saying was, children should be seen and not heard. And then for a while I went with old people should be heard and not seen. But I thank you. I'm always happy to show my face when it's smiling. I like not to show my face.
Oh, you look good.
Being sour.
Yeah, once upon a time, it was the case of like we respected our elders. I know.
Yeah. Right.
Well, regarding
you heard about the kids these days, isn't it? There's a lot of respect back down there.
Yeah. Well, to get back to your question about the drones, I've written 3 articles on it. If you go to robertmorningstar.substack.com, you can read them. They're really in detail and extensive. Coming out with another one soon, which shows that this was a global thing. When you look at the coverage here in America, everything was New Jersey. New Jersey, here in New Jersey, northern New Jersey, southern New Jersey. My God, this thing was global. There were 5 RAF bases that had to be shut down. And then I was interviewed by the London Times as a UFO expert on the ongoing drone dramas, as I call them. And then my friend Johnny Webb wrote this. It was being blacked out in England that the BBC and English press were not covering anything about drones. So I expected that the article would be quashed. And a couple of days later, he wrote saying, the company has sent me to Canada and, decided not to write that article. I said, I know, because I got word that they weren't covering it in England, and so I expected the cancellation.
What's the reason?
Multi-layered.
What's the reason?
Multi-layered military operation.
Right.
Part of it was camouflage. UFO activity is all over the place. The EU, Ramstein Air Force Base, the biggest NATO base in Europe, had the drone problem. Lakenheath, Mildenhall, three other RAF bases, 2 naval storage depots in the United Kingdom. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base was closed down. Stewart Airport, which is actually Stewart Air Force Base and disguises, it's actually a National Guard base, but it has commercial flights, so it's called Stewart International. That's right up there by West Point, by the way. Just go a little farther north, and you have Stewart Airport. All over the United States, power stations, a lot of activity over natural water resources, reservoirs. The Philippines, Brazil, Mexico.
Nuclear facilities too, let's not forget.
Yeah, nuclear facilities, power plants. I just call it American.
Okay.
And so that's
volcanoes as well.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. They fly right through the plumes of volcanoes. As a matter of fact, I got a report that in 1973, before this huge earthquake in Nicaragua, some people climbed up one of those. There are 3 volcanoes, active volcanoes, near Managua, and there's one called Mombacho and Cosiguina, and Mombacho is the biggest one. So people hiked up to the caldera. They looked down. There were UFOs down there parked inside the steaming caldera. So they do tap in, and there's a lot of electrical activity around active volcanoes, and they seem to be able to just suck it up. I wrote an article 12 years ago or more called UFO Piracy. It was about how UFOs are taxing the human race in a lot of ways. You know, the cattle mutilations, missing people, electrical tapping into electrical resources, tapping into radio beams that will go right up to a radio transmission and just hover around the radio transmission as if just sucking up the microwaves, perhaps to power it up, and then going right over the power station and loitering there while the power station is producing electricity. They're sapping it. And this happened up in British Columbia, near Mill Bay, Cowichan.
Cowichan, yeah. Lower West Coast, Lower Mainland, the Sunshine Coast.
At Cowichan, there was a UFO incident near a hospital. A woman who was a nurse there went to the window at night and pulled open the curtains, and there was a UFO hovering just beyond the window at a tilted angle. And she saw the 2 aliens inside frantically working controls as if they had something wrong with the craft and they had to level it. And she said she watched them for a while, and then one of them looked over and saw her, and she saw him. And then they straightened it out and zipped away. And at the same time, there were all of these other incidents and reports, including the mayor of this town. His name was Jim Quaife. So I was able to interview him, and he said that his experience was he had been in his living room with a big window, and he saw a deer. It was night, and he saw a deer out in his yard, and he saw a blue light come down and spotlight the deer, and it just froze. And it didn't move until the light went off, and then it just bolted off into the darkness. So they've been around. This is dog and pony show. We're seeing more government BS.
Incredible. So a couple quick questions that I've got, and it seems like there are, a few people here definitely keen on learning more and hearing your take on things. But where do things stand presently? I haven't been following reports on drone appearances or anything of the latest as to their activity. Secondly, so more, I guess, to the point, as the activity, as things kind of increased or
They
lessened
definitely-
or
they-
stabilized?
they
And secondly,
definitely-
Elon Musk. I'd like you just if you would to kind of his whole. I mean, he himself has openly stated, has he not, that something about he believes himself at times to be an alien of sorts.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that he thinks he's a hybrid. I don't doubt it. There are a lot of people. I know a lot of people who believe they are hybrids.
Oh.
What was the first question you asked?
I'm sorry. It was just where do things stand now as far as drone reports?
Well, everything stopped dead 2 days after President Trump said the government knows what's going on. They don't want to tell the people. They want to keep the people in suspense. And he said, we want transparency or shoot them down.
Wow.
And as soon as he said that, gone.
Ah.
What you have now are real UFOs. Whatever's up there is not. They grounded, the FAA grounded all drones in New York and in New Jersey. I don't know about Connecticut, but there's no drones flying. So I thought that there was a tremendous amount of alien UFO activity, so much so that everyone could recognize it. So they flooded the areas with drones to confuse the issue, to mask.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work because UFOs are not mechanical devices, and they don't generally have flashing lights or strobes, and they're quite distinct. I thought they're multi-level, right? One, camouflage the real UFO activity, run drills, dress rehearsals in case we are attacked, because the next wars, these wars already are drone wars, and we expect the next war to be maybe an all-drone war. So I believe that the military bases were running drills, and they were bringing in drones to be pretending to attack the base, at the same time deploying drones to act in defenses of the bases. All of those layered one on top of the other, embedded.
Yeah, incredible. What about this fog? Have you heard about this fog or mist that's been covering many states?
I saw video of it in Texas, and people are complaining.
And a couple hands raised too. Could you care to elaborate, Robert, or do you want to just take the questions with people and their hands raised?
Well, I'll just say that I saw a video. It looks nasty. It looks toxic. You remember what I said about the wind? Remember the book? Folks, I had an experience here with Jaffe. Jaffe and I did a program. We did 2 hours of my regular program. We did another hour and a half. And I was sitting here at this chair for 3.5 hours, not leaving my seat. And the only other person, my partner in the house, was in the other room, wasn't around. When I finished the show, I turned to my left, and where I keep a chair, I switched chairs, but I don't move them very far, so I just swapped them. And on the chair were two items. One was a beautiful little white angel. And do you recall the name of the book? There was a book and an angel.
Jesus James Angleton.
No. That's the book that was stolen in the morning. That's the spooky part of the story, a spookier part of the story. A book was stolen in the morning from my mail. It was called The Ghost. Okay, so I resigned myself. Somebody stole it. I'll buy another one. After 3 hours here with Jaffe, I turned to my left, and there was a book and an angel, a little plastic angel, and he's around someplace. Maybe I'll show it to you later. But I was shocked, and I said to my friend, hey, why'd you put this here? She said, I didn't put it there. I've never seen that before. And I said, I've never seen it before either. I've never had this book. Would you pass me the book right there? Both of them, maybe.
Just materialized out of nowhere.
Yes, out of nowhere. A book that I've never had in my house. And look what it's called. Let's see if we can...
Killing...
Hey, camera. A Killing Wind.
Okay. What, and the author?
A Killing Wind by Dan Kurtzman.
Okay.
And at the bottom of it, Day of the Bomb. I hadn't noticed that. The Killing Wind part was what struck me.
Is there any way someone could have slipped in
No
stealth
way.
mode?
Come on. Nobody can stealth mode me in my own living room. But really, I'll tell you what was really creepy. Yeah. Do you recall? I don't know if you recall, but the last topic in our conversation was when I was talking about a peculiar class of aliens that MJ12 had called transmorphic entities. And they said that they were not created beings. Means that they've been immortal or eternal. They are not created. They are pure mind energy that exists in another dimension, that they can open portals. They're curious about our dimensions and about us. And so they can come in, and then when they're in this dimension, they can transform pure mind energy into any material object or entity that they wish to. They can be an inanimate object, or they can be an animate object. And that would explain a lot of the strange cryptids and spooky entities that are being videoed all over the world at this time. So CERN may have opened up a portal. A Montauk Project definitely opened up portals. And now these portals are popping up all over the place. So I guess the latest one must have been over New Jersey and off the coast. It was a very interesting thing. A Coast Guard cutter was sent out into the Atlantic off New York to look for the drones, and the drones found the Coast Guard cutter. And then the Coast Guard cutter turned around and started heading into port, and they were being tailed. They were being followed by 30 drones, okay, 30, I do air quotes, 30 drones following the Coast Guard cutter. And a Coast Guardsman gave an interview to the New York Post a couple of days afterwards, because it was just straight denial, from the Pentagon, from John Kirby and the talking heads. Mm-hmm. But a Coast Guard, this was the headline of the New York Post. U.S. Coast Guardsman says the people in the White House are making up shit.
Yeah, White House full of shit.
Making up a lot of shit. So
no.
Well, we know what the score is. The government is in a bind. It's lied for 80 years about everything, and they have lost the capacity to tell the truth.
I'll tell you, Robert. Here's an interesting, just briefly, and I'll then over to Sonia, I guess. Just with Carter's passing, flags at half-mast for the next month, I guess, and that'll overlap. That's Trump's inauguration will be taking place presumably within that time frame. So, the Democrats are getting a big chuckle. They think that's really, the Carter gets the last laugh or something to that effect. Mm-hmm. But then also, what do you foresee in the upcoming Trump administration as far as what maybe we can expect in 2025 and beyond?
Expect dirty tricks. They're going to try to block him. They're going to try to bring a resolution in the Congress that he can't take office because he's a convicted felon. With regard to the New York case.
Insurrection, responsible for
that's the other one. The real insurrectionists are running for the hills. Hundreds of lawyers in the Department of Justice are withdrawing or resigning because they're afraid of the consequences. They did pull a lot of criminal lawfare. Yeah. And Fannie Willis has been removed from the case down in Georgia. And the judge, one of the appellate judges, really tore into her and her behavior. And so
disgraceful.
But they've got tricks up their sleeve. They're going to try two things. One is these charges against, based on the 14th Amendment, that if you mounted an insurrection against the U.S. government, you are ineligible for public office. The other one is the felony charge. And the third one is blocking the election of a new Speaker of the House. That's a fly in the ointment, because they cannot, on January 3rd, the new Congress and Senate comes in. They're all going to be sworn in. The first item on the agenda is to elect a Speaker of the House. And they cannot certify the votes until the Speaker of the House introduces the resolution to certify the votes, which is supposed to be January 6th.
Okay.
And there's a plot to block the Speaker of the House election for as long as possible, so that it may forestall the trickery is unbelievable, that it may forestall the certification of the electors.
Right.
Scheduled January 6th.
Right. The very same thing that they protested against, or they were so opposed to back in 2020.
Yeah, but it was legal. It was perfectly constitutional to do what he did. It's just that Mike Pence was a craven, spineless coward, or in with the anti-Trump group, the trade.
Yeah.
Because it was perfectly legal. If you read the procedures for the certification of the vote, it was supposed to be presented, and if there's a challenge, the challenge had to be addressed.
Right.
And that's what Trump was asking for, to challenge it. So since that time, during the Biden administration, they changed that law, and they have modified it so that it can't be challenged.
How about
so
that?
Once a thing is certified in any state, just stop. So they're pulling that all over the country.
Okay, so who do we got there? Sonia, and I think Mark had his hand up. Anyone else, feel free, but go ahead, Sonia.
Yes, I have something very pertinent to share. Actually, it is actually my friend Isaac who has something very pertinent to share, and he only has a few minutes to do this. And Robert, I think that, and nice to see you, Robert. I love you, and I think that you would probably really fit in with this whole thing. It's an experience that he had, and he's willing to share it with you guys, which I find is amazing. And so, Isaac, go for it, bro.
Thank you, Sonia. Well, it's basically it caught my attention. Some of the data that he was sharing about, the Germanic background and
right.
That, right. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. I had an experience like many years ago, and it was an abduction. And I got into the ship, and I saw these guys there with long arms and long fingers, but they were just looking at me, right? And I was so freaking scared about it, because it happened. I was in my brother's apartment, and I got, I felt like I was abducted through my throat, like I went out through the ship through my throat. So it was really painful as well. When I get there, I'm super scared, and the first thought came to my mind is, okay, I need help. So I started to, okay, God, help me, right? And one of the guys told me, like, in my mind, nobody can hear you here, not even God. So
wow, that's terrible.
that was super scared. So in that moment, I went back I went to the bathroom in my brother's apartment, and I went back and I saw my body, and I went into my body, and I was walking out, but I wasn't feeling my feet yet until like the third step that I did, and then my brother came and he told me, like, what's going on? And I told him, like, no, I have to deal with these by myself, right? So I went back to the bathroom, and I went out through my throat again. And I see these guys, but this time I was so pissed off. And I was like, okay, you guys are gonna kill me. Let's do it. You know, I'm gonna fight. You know, I lost my fear, and in that moment, they got super scared, and they were like, you know, expelling from me, and they were like
Run
you
away.
know, going up against the walls of the place that we were. And
Yes.
in that moment, I get back, and that was it, basically. But it was really intense, you know. And you know, I've been, you know, I did mushrooms and LSD and everything, but in that moment, I was just, you know, I just smoked a little weed, and it was really, really interesting experience, because I noticed that we humans have a lot of power if we don't have fear. But
That's right.
when I
That's right.
believe what they were telling me, like, okay, not even God can help you here, or can even listen to you, I was scared. But when I lose that, and I confronted them, and I told them, like, okay, you're going to kill me, let's do it, okay. And they
Right.
couldn't resist that shit.
Oh,
So yeah, that's basically my story.
Thank you.
I
I'll
had
tell you honestly, I believe you 100%, because something you said struck me very powerfully, that you were taken out of your body through your throat.
Yeah.
And I had the same experience. As a matter of fact, I've been celebrating the 50th anniversary of that experience that happened to me in 1974. My soul was taken out of my body.
Oh,
and
yeah.
traveled, and then it came back into my body, and it came back when I let out a yell. I was in a cosmic event. I was mimicking the cosmic event, and there was a primal scream in it. And when I did the primal scream, my soul was taken back from the beginning of time, and it ended. So I left through the throat. I came back through the throat, which is something I've never heard anybody else say until tonight. That you shared it, and I thank you for
Yeah,
that.
my impression was that they were like living, like these entities live in a like in a parallel dimension, in a lower frequency dimension. I had this feeling, you know, when the guy told me that on my mind, I had this feeling like I was talking to the most dangerous, like, villain I ever met in my life. It was really scary, and I had this sensation, you know, like I could read in the vibe of the place, like these guys are like carnivores, like they eat each other to survive. It was really, really, you know, a really
Were they
tough dimension.
insectoids? Were they insectoids? The aliens, were they insectoids?
No, they were like really tall, like shadows. I couldn't see them like properly, and they were like shadows, but they had these long fingers and long arms, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really interesting story. I still don't know what it was, and also, well, earlier in my life I had this experience. You know, I used to go to the roof, you know, and sit there and watch the sky, and three lights appear, and they started to move like they appeared in triangle formation, and they started to move, and they then disappear. That was like my first experience with some sort of, you know, UFO or something. But it was really interesting. And I was also telling Sonia that my great grandfather was from Germany, actually. He came here, from Germany. So, all the information, I was like, okay, I have to share this.
They track certain gene pools. Somehow they have an ability to track gene pools, to track families. I'd like to share the screen for a moment in support of, what is your name? I'm sorry, because you have two different names, one on your screen. And,
yeah, well, my name is Isaac.
Isaac. Yeah. Okay, Isaac, I want to show you a headline. Scottish man says 6-foot aliens with 4 fingers kidnapped him at UFO hotspot. These are two instances of abduction in Scotland way back. There's a place called Falkirk, and there's a town in Scotland called Bonnybridge. And this has the highest incidence of UFO experiences, UFO sightings, and alien abductions. And the people of Falkirk have been pleading with the Scottish Parliament, the British Parliament, to take it seriously. Some of the witnesses even had meetings with the prime ministers. Malcolm Robinson is one of them, who's very active. I remember we published. He said, "Listen to this. I saw three creatures coming toward my car. I felt intense pain, like an electric shock. Then I was in some room. I saw these things like wee men moving about, doing something to me. I could only see up. Then the 6-foot creature approached. It was white gray in color with large forehead and dark eyes, with long, slender neck, very slim shoulders and waist. There were either ribs or folds of skin on his body. The arms were like ours, but there were 4 very long fingers. It sounds to me like the same troop that might have interacted with you, Isaac.
Similar.
Yeah, probably.
I support people because I'm sure if you've told this to people, they go, you must be crazy. But that's the standard operating procedure to discredit the witness. And I always say, gotta believe the witnesses. It only takes 2 people, to convict someone of murder in a trial in the United States. And that yet you have 5, 10, 15 witnesses, and no, human perception is not reliable, human memory is not reliable. And all of these are tactics and ploys that were used it started with the Kennedy assassination because they applied mass mind control to the population, but they also applied mass mind control to controlling the witnesses and changing their perceptions. As a matter of fact, I saw Governor Connolly, and he proves it. Governor Connolly, 1999, he was on with Larry King and Governor Connolly and his wife, and they were talking about it. And he said, no, definitely, there were more than one shooters, That's why I said they're going to kill us all. So, But he said, I told the FBI what happened, and they wouldn't believe me. So they took me and Nellie into a room, and they showed us this Zapruder film over and over and over again. And I realized they were putting him under mind control. They kept showing him the doctored version of the Zapruder film where all these things that he had done had been cut out. So they were overlaying the false perception, claiming it was real because it was on film. So they were overlaying with a false perception over and over on Governor Connolly and his wife, who were actually in the car. And he was wounded by 3 shots. So that's how it works. And MKUltra is a big operating program. And I've written to the Congress, you instituted this national security state by legislating it into existence. You have to legislate it out of existence because what it is, it's a program, and it's a bad program. When you have a bad program on your computer, what do? You uninstall it, and that's what we have to do. We have to uninstall.
1947, Robert, the National Security Act. Wouldn't you say that really kicked things off?
Yeah, 48 is, I think, when they passed it. But in the first letter that Alan Dulles wrote with a group, I think another guy's name was Kellogg. There were 3 people in the group. He wrote a letter arrogating to himself and the agency all of these powers that are not constitutional. But he used that letter, the secrecy, the national security secrecy, as the be-all, end-all excuse for removing people's constitutional rights and removing the power from the Congress. So this Congress is, they're trying to get back their authority because they've lost it, but they want it back. And I'm hoping to see a lot of action on this in coming years.
excuse me, folks. Should have actually, if I would have had the cough mic button handy, would have.
I tried to do.
Would have cleaned that up and had it. So actually, I'm spending more time analyzing now the little cough than just carrying on with the flow of conversation. But we've got to, we got to wind things up here. I know that a lot of you would maybe like to continue this conversation. You're free to do so at your own means and leisure. Obviously, this is episode 336 of Pirate Radio Podcast, a special feature production. This year's New Year's celebrations. So where have we yet to? I mean, let's see. The Midwest. What time is it there in the Midwest? It's what, 1:00 in the morning. 1:10.
1:00 Eastern. It's 1:00 Eastern, and right now it's 12:00 in Central, and 11:00 in the mountains.
Do we have anyone in the Western time zone? Do better. You're in Georgia, is that right? I believe so. The Peach State. So I know this Jimmy Carter business keeps coming back to me. Apparently, not only did he have his own UFO sighting, but also a lot of people don't know, supposedly, there's a guy named Freeman Fly we had on the show as a feature guest, and for the longest time, he has claimed that his father served in the military, Navy, I guess is what it was, with Carter, chasing UFOs. That was part of their their job description. So have you heard about that, Robert? Sonia wants to chime in there, and then maybe back to Robert, and as we wind things down. But Carter, terrible, lousy presidency in many ways, of course. Not least of which is selling the Panama Canal to the Chinese for $1. Did he actually do that? That's just mind blowing. Now look where we are.
No, it wasn't to the Chinese. No, he returned he gave the Panama Canal to Panama, and the Panamanians made the deal with the Chinese.
Okay. Wow.
But Trump has announced yesterday we've got to get the Panama Canal back. We built it.
Yeah, you can have the Panama Canal back, but hands off of Canada. I've got a song archived. The 50.
Governor Trudeau is coming down, man.
Yeah, screw Trudeau. Just because you're Canadian and you love your country doesn't mean you think too highly of these bozos that serve in office. So I've written a song, actually. It's called The 51st State and Patriots Lament. It's recorded years ago. I have a video to run along, kind of complement the music and lyrics of themselves. So I'd like to get that out there and see what sort of traction it might pick up at this.
You're only going to encourage more Canadians to long for statehood.
They could do what they want. It's
powerful. You don't understand. Canada, if it came in, would not be the 51st state. It would be the 51st to the 61st state, because every province would become a state, would have 2 senators, and would have a congressional representation according to the population. So it wouldn't be 51st state, it'd be 61st state, because British Columbia, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, all. I joked on my program, that'd be a great idea, but you can keep Quebec, maybe keep Ontario.
Just one problem with that. You're forgetting the Commonwealth of Nations, UK, the British Commonwealth of Nations, which Canada is a member of.
Yes, I know. So they'd have to withdraw.
Therefore, they would have to have a referendum to become independent.
True.
And then they can't just jump into U.S. territory or be part of U.S. territory just like that. It's going to take years.
Well, they'd have to have a referendum. That's actually true. It would be just like Brexit. And I worked really hard for Brexit because the British, European Union screwed Britain, and forced you to take millions of migrants. It's all part of the Kalergi plan. It's destroy Western Caucasian civilization.
Yeah.
And the other part of it is to keep us all at war, to prevent the unification of Western Caucasian civilization. Russia and the United States should be allied. We should be friends. And we were heading in that direction until this gang of criminals, war criminals and human traffickers, the Biden administration, Obama, Clinton, that cabal, they've destroyed Ukraine. It's a horrible thing that they did. And I was warning people about it. I could see through the whole thing, huge money laundering machine.
Oh, totally.
You know,
and how much of that found its way back into DNC coffers?
Well, that was what that Bankman. Remember Bankman-Fried, the guy who's doing 25 years in jail for his. That was what he was doing. He was putting the money through Ukraine so that it could come back to the Democrat Party.
Right.
It's kind of forgetting that little detail about his scam. You know?
Yeah, that's Friedman.
Something I was reminded about not so long ago is that before the war, Ukraine was noted as most corrupt country in Europe.
Hugely. Khazarian mafia, they dominate, do they not?
Yeah, you know why? Because when the Soviet Union fell, Russia decommunized, but Ukraine did not. And one of the things that Putin said to them before the onslaught began, he said, "We decommunize. We can help you. We can teach you how to get rid of this corrupt system that we left." And they retooled. Russia's been retooled. It's not communist in any way. But Ukraine remained the same. But not only was it communist, it was Nazi.